Hey gamers, this video is going to be an introduction to my lurking guide. This video will give a brief introduction to the lurking role, as well as introduce the tasks and skill sets required to be a good lurker. Hopefully this video will give you a better understanding of what is expected of you as a lurker and what skills you'll need to work on to be sure to become the best lurker you can be. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. What is lurking? Lurking is when you are on the other side of the map, away from either most or all of your teammates. In an ideal situation, lurking is you hard baiting your team in order to get into a good position. There are bad lurkers and good lurkers, and you can judge their skill based off of what they can accomplish on their lurks. If your lurking teammate can either kill someone rotating and fall back, they can timing the other team and get onto the opposite bomb site, or if you guys are committing to the other bomb site, flank the other team, are all indications of a good lurker. Someone that is a bad lurker or just not good at reading situations well will usually stay in neutral spots for most of the round until either most of the enemy is dead, his entire team is dead, or there's a little amount of time left on the clock. By neutral spots, I mean areas of the map that are sometimes contested. Examples would be on Bind, for instance, showers or outside showers, short A, outside hookah, and fountain long B. Right? And what do all these spots have in common? They're all outside of the barrier areas in the buy phase. Now most lurkers, or most players in general, will start off in these positions, but a bad lurker will never work past these spots and in turn not do anything for their team. So what are the skills needed to be a good lurker? While these skills I'm about to list should be used by everybody, a lurker needs to excel in these skills in order to make sure they are the most effective lurker they can be. And let's start off with the first one. The first one's going to be game sense. A good lurker has great game sense, where they are able to be aware of everything that's kind of going on around them, whether it's on their side of the map or the other side of the map, right? They know all these different situations that can happen and know how to play off of all these different situations, know the different timings on when to sneak in, as well as travel times for people rotating in and around the map. How long will it take for someone to get from point A to point B? How much time does that leave you to work with? Right? And in that timing, you know that I can sneak in, or you can sneak in, or whoever's lurking can sneak in and basically get onto the bomb site for free or get a free pick, right? So that's the first skill. Second skill, good communication. Being able to clearly and concisely talk about your game plan, as well as telling the team whenever you are doing something vital to win the round, whether that is sneaking in, right, killing somebody to make a play, right, or just getting the other bomb site while your team is hitting the opposite bomb site, right, and tell them, hey guys, I have this bomb site, rotate back, right? We don't have to, they've over rotated. We don't need to go die on that bomb site. We can just plan on the other one, right? Next, high clutch percentage, right? They are a clutch player. They can win a multitude of clutches, and being able to pull off these numerous amount of clutches means that they have a very good chance of, being a good lurker, because a good lurker more often than not will be in clutch situations and need to be able to win these clutch rounds. Now they don't have to do a lot, right? More than the average player is preferred, because winning clutches is very hard, but in these 1v1, 1v2, 1v3, etc., right, they need to be able to at least win a good consistent amount compared to everyone else. Next, good skill confidence. Having the confidence to make some plays that are needed by a lurker. A lurker cannot be sitting around all day waiting for something to happen. Sometimes they need to be proactive and show they lack the fear of dying and being able to, go make the play when they need to make it, right? And the last skill I would consider them to have a nice solid grasp on is trigger discipline. Shooting the first enemy you see when lurking might not always be the most effective way to win the round. Sometimes letting someone pass or letting them rotate after they believe they cleared an area is the best way to get into a good position. If you shoot them or kill them, it might make taking the bomb site a little more difficult, because then the enemy knows you are where you are and they can respond off of that information. Now, these 5 skills I've listed, I believe, are probably some of the most important skills a lurker needs to have. Are there more skills? For sure, right? Don't get me wrong. These aren't the only 5 skills. Everyone needs to have good, solid fundamentals. But these 5 right now, I believe, are the most important. But now that I'm done talking about skills, let's go on to knowing what the job of the lurker is and what that entails. A lurker has certain jobs he needs to do in order to accomplish the lurking role. Now, in order to see who a good lurker and a bad lurker is, it really depends on how well they use the skill sets mentioned before, as well as how well they can do their job, right? And so what their jobs mainly consist of are 1, flanking the opponents, 2, cutting off rotations, 3, holding the flank, 4, creating space, or 5, making plays. Now, a good lurker is going to be able to go through each one of these and know how to change it up based on what's required, but that doesn't mean they always have to be making some kind of lurk play, right? Sometimes just grouping up with the team is the best action when the other team knows that you are lurking a lot. They'll always expect you, and because of that, you could keep them on the other side of the bomb site until you are spotted. As easy as it sounds, flanking is just you going around and backstabbing the opponents. A lot of people in matchmaking might call you being ratty for doing this, but honestly, they're just mad because they're not smart enough. So, when will we be flanking, right? The main way this will be done is by the lurker flanking the other team when your team is hitting a bomb site. Your team will use a lot of abilities and make a lot of gunshot noises, right? Shooting, and that's going to basically signal to the defender team that your team is trying to hit that bomb site. And so when they rotate over to assist any defenders on that site, that is when a good lurker will be able to sneak in past the enemy lines and begin flanking the opponents. The ideal situation for this is the attacker team hits a site, kills 1 or 2 defenders, or none, whatever, but because maybe they're playing a retake, and then hopefully only 1 or 2 of the attackers die, 0 in the most ideal situation. They plant the bomb. This guarantees that the defenders will rotate off their spots and give the lurker a chance to flank. Even if this ideal situation doesn't happen, it's still possible to flank your opponents. And if the defenders start retaking the site a little bit quicker, that will dictate the speed at which the lurker will have to come and flank at. So let's say you guys instantly plant the bomb and the defenders instantly start getting ready to retake. That lurker knows he has to go quick in order to flank them, otherwise he'll be too late. And the other way to flank opponents, and one that you won't see too often but is still possible, right, if you have good awareness and understand timings really well, is if you are able to timing the other team and sneak past, right? An example of this is the defense is holding an angle, and as soon as they get off the angle to do something else for some reason, right, you abuse that timing and you're able to sneak past them without them noticing. This might seem like an impossible feat, but sometimes with a bit of luck and timing, you can easily do this. Cutting off rotations. What does it mean to cut off rotations? It means killing the defensive team as they rotate to the bomb site your team is attacking. This does not mean flanking them. It means that you're posted up on an area where the defenders are more than likely going to pass through, and you kill them while they're rotating. The biggest spot you can do this on is on Haven. On the cubby outside of the B bomb site, posted into A link, that's the most common spot you'll see lurkers holding rotations from. Some other notable mentions are on Bind in Hookah, spotting the spawn cross. You can even do it from long B on Bind, holding for the guy to drop out of Hookah to rotate through. On Split, you can try doing it A main, trying to kill the A defender as he rotates the screen to go to the B bomb site. Or you can do it on Split in mid. If your team's hitting A or B, you're kind of just chilling mid, waiting for them to rotate through ropes, right? Again, these are just a few examples. There are lots of other angles you can hold in the game, right? But those are just 2 of the most common ones. So what's the importance of this, right? If you can kill someone rotating, obviously it makes your job a lot easier, then you can fall back. But even if you don't get the kill, the knowledge of you being there makes the defending team have to worry about you possibly flanking them as well. For example, you shoot or give away your position to the other team in some way so they know you're there. This will either make them do 1 of 2 things. One is wait for you to try to flank, right, which delays them retaking the bomb site, or they'll speed up the retake, which gives them the chance of messing up timings, right? So these are a couple ways of just holding the flanks and getting some kind of advantage off of it, whether you kill them, give away your position and make them mess up, or you flank them because obviously you were holding the rotation, no one rotated through that angle. Holding the flank. It's as easy as it sounds. You're literally just posted up, bringing up the rear and making sure the enemy team can't flank your teammates. You don't always have to hold the flank from the same spot or even do it from the start of the round, but as long as you know the enemy team can't timing your teammates or get behind you as well, then you're doing a good job. Some people it's really easy to hold the flank with, for instance Cypher or even Killjoy, right? Because they have utility that can cover the flanks. That means if you have util covering your teammates' flanks, that means you can kind of do a little bit more, right? But let's say if you were like an Omen or maybe like a Reyna or someone else on the flank, usually you're gonna have to actually spot the flank itself and make sure no one pushes through and flanks your teammates. Now, a couple of different ways this can work is, let's say you give up the flank for like a second, right? And in that second, no one can like timing your teammate in the flank, then you can obviously do something else in that time. But if there is the possibility of someone flanking, you have to worry about it if you're supposed to cover the flank. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Creating space. If you've never heard of this term before, it is used to describe someone making a lot of noise, also known as throwing a lot of util, shooting a lot of shots, trying to work a pick, right? In order, to do a couple things. The point of creating space is to do either slow down rotations. So if your teammate's like hitting the bomb site, but you're making a lot of noise on the other side, that guy on that side of the map that you're attacking or creating space on won't rotate as easily because they're kind of worried about you. The second, and an even more ideal situation, is to try to bait out some rotations from the other team. So let's say you're making a lot of noise, or you guys throw a lot of util and you're just like the only one there shooting your gun, right? If you can bait people over to your bomb site, that's an even more ideal situation for creating space. If the Lurker can at least keep one or more people on the bomb site, we will not be attacking. It makes it a lot easier for your team to hit the opposite bomb sites, since the defense will shift towards the noise you are making. A good example of doing this might be on Haven. If they have a Cypher and you break his trips, throw down some util to try to find him and really put the pressure on him, he will either call for some help, or if he's in a bad spot, might try to take the battle with you and give up that one-on-one, right? And hopefully you get that kill, and again, that's going to cause the defense over to shift. Another example of creating space is if attacking the site with your team, you push in to get control of the site to make sure your planner can plant the bomb. Even as a lurker, you can't lurk every round, so there will be times when you have to do this for whoever on your team is planting the bomb. So because you're not supposed to always be lurking every round, sometimes you are going to have to make space for your team. Now if you go in first, right, and the other team knows you're the lurker, you go in first and you die, sometimes they might be like, hey, this guy usually lurks, right? They might be hitting the other bomb site. This might be a fake. They might be hitting the other bomb site because their lurker went in first. And this is kind of how you play the mind games and become a better lurker, and in turn helping your team win more rounds. Making plays. Now, me personally, this is my favorite aspect of being a lurker, and that is the chance to be a playmaker, right? A good lurker should be a playmaker, knowing when to and when not to make plays. Right? The most common situation a lurker would need to make a play in is when their team is down players, right? So example, you're playing 4v5 or 3v4 because someone died early or a couple people died early, right? And because your team lacks the man advantage, they need someone to come in big, and as a lurker, you would usually be on the opposite side of your team, thus providing you with a lot of space to work with. While this might not seem good to a normal player or to a beginner level lurker, the less noise being made on your side of the map is generally better overall for a skilled lurker, because you will need that that lack of noise to catch the enemies off, right? Lack of noise in turn causes lack of focus, which is the best time for a lurker to strike. If your team isn't focused, if the other team isn't focused on their side of the map, because everything's happening on wherever your team is attacking at, because the abilities are being thrown, people are shooting guns, people are dying, right? That's the perfect time for you to strike, right? And either kill them or sneak past them. Some other times plays might be needed to be made, or is when your team lacks map control, or when your team is in bad positions, right? The biggest example of that is when the bomb is down, but you guys aren't in a good position to defend the bomb. Right? Sometimes those fights need to be taken in order for you to win later in the round, and in this example, being able to defend the bomb if they tap it. Now, this won't happen as often on attack, but this, fighting for, map control and positioning and making plays off of that is good for defense. Since on defense, a lot of the time it comes down to map control and positioning. No map control and no good spots being played on defense will usually require you to make a play as well. Now, being a playmaker, right? It's a very important job for the lurker. Every role is important, right? But the lurker has, will also turn into an entry sometimes, right? So you cannot be scared, and that's where some of these skills come in, such as having the game sense, good communication, so the self-confidence, right? And those clutch percentages, right? Having a high clutch chance, right? Those are all very, very important aspects of being a lurker, and as you can see how it entails into the job they have to do. But anyways, guys, I would like to thank everyone for watching this video. I hope you guys learned something from this in-depth video guide. I plan on, making some homework, right? Some examples for you guys to look at and kind of test yourselves on. So I hope you guys look forward to that. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know on here, Twitter, my Discord, YouTube, Twitch, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you guys follow my Twitch, join my Discord. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.